Hi guys, welcome back. This is the second video on the topic of Microsoft Excel for the beginners. So let's discuss absolute versus relative referencing. So last week we discussed about monthly sale, how we can sum it up, how to use function, and then we replicated the formula. If you have a formula here and once you drag it and it adopts the next column cell or row cell, and this is called relative referencing. But in some cases we don't want relative referencing to be adopted, we want absolute referencing. So let's discuss about relative versus absolute first. So if we have a formula here, so is equal to B2 plus C2. So this is my formula. So if I drag this one and if I click it everywhere, so it has adopted the referencing. So it wasn't a static formula, because when I was here in this cell H2, I typed B2 plus C2, but when I dragged it, it has adopted B3 plus C3, likewise 4, 5, 6. So my row is increasing, and if I drag it toward right, so you can see it is changing my column. So it is staying in my row as I dragged in the row. However, I've changed the column, so you can see it has done C2 plus D2, and likewise D2 plus E2, and likewise it is increasing, and as you can see it is summing up G plus H, which is 70, because we don't have anything in G. Okay, so this is relative referencing, because every movement I'm doing, left to right or top to bottom or bottom to top, it is adopting corresponding row or column address relative to my movement. So it is relative referencing. So imagine there can be cases where I don't want one or both side of the movement of the column or row. So what will then happen? Imagine, let's create a case here. Let me clear this one out. Okay, now this is my target for 2020. This is my actual for 2022, and this is, I want to create a budget for 2023, for example. Yeah, and I want to increase my sale by 10%. Okay, so this is my target for in Jan 2022. I made a sale of 50, and for every month my target is to increase my revenue by 10%. So I want to apply a formula. So formula is equal to this multiply this, which will give me the 10% of this, and then on top of that I want to add my original amount to get my new value, which is 10% of 50 is 5. On top of that, or if you add 5 in 50, now if I drag it, if I use my relative referencing, you can see it is going to very big numbers. So I don't want to do that. So what, instead of relative referencing, I will try to use absolute referencing. So I'll go to my formula, and I want my sale to change, but I don't want my percentage, which is fixed for the full year budgeting, I don't want it to change. So I want to make absolute referencing for my percentage, 10% increment. So how you can do this one? Once you go inside the formula, click the cell which you want to change, and you can see this is color coded. So B2 is this, so you can see this a blue cell address, and this is inside blue circle, and I want to change D1, which is red. So you need to press F4, and you will see a $sign applied before D, and a $sign is assigned before 1, which is D is my column, 1 is my first row. So if I press enter, now this formula, if I drag it down left or right, it is going to keep my referencing absolute for this. So now if I do same thing, you can see 10% of 60 is 6. If you add 60 plus 6 is 56. There is something wrong because I had added 50 on top of that. So I want to change this formula, so I will add this one again. So you can see if I double click here, it has replicated, but this time every time I've dragged, you can see I'm down here, it has changed my address for B10 in both the cases, but my percentage address is fixed because I've used these $sign. In some cases I want only my row to be locked, but I don't want my column to be locked. So what I will then do, I will remove $sign from here and keep my dollar with the row, and then in that case let's test this. So if I imagine I had this formula here, I can drag up and drag down. Because I stayed inside the column, nothing has happened, but if I drag it here, you can see it is moving. It has just kept for first row is locked because dollar is there, however there was no dollar before column, so you can see it is moving. So I will remove this one, and to remove the change and go back, you can press Ctrl plus Z, undo. So this is how you can go back if there is any mistake. So Ctrl plus Z is the shortcut, or there is an undo button in which you can use to go back. So if you go to home, so this is your undo button, Ctrl plus Z, and this is redo button. If I want to redo my action which I've done undo, so you can do those again. Okay, so this is how you can apply relative versus absolute referencing. Very useful when it comes to applying these functions. Further, we can discuss how to see, if you select some data, how to see average, sum and count here in the status bar. So this is the status bar where it is telling what's the status of my Excel. It is ready. Sometime you will see it is calculating or progressing. So this is how you can see the status. But how to add these average, sum and count, etc. So you may not see in your variant to add this one. So you right click here on the status bar. You can see this is customized status bar, and you can see cell mode and then flash, fill blank cell, etc. But we want to add sum, average, count. These are already added. But if I want min and max, if I select minimum, maximum, and if I remove this one, so you can see min and max are added. If I want to remove it again, I can remove these one. So this is how you can change your setting for your status bar. So this is how you can add it. If you want to zoom in, as we discussed previously, you can zoom in. If you want to magnify your data, sometime when you are presenting data on Teams to other colleagues, they struggle to read it. So from here you can zoom in or zoom out. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Have a lovely day and catch you with the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.